Good evening, everyone. My name is Jimmy Daniel. I'm the 4th District Representative on the Lincoln County School Board. As a board member, the opinions that I express tonight are not necessarily reflect the opinions of the other board members or the Lincoln County school system in any way. This information is for the parents, for the grandparents, for the guardians, and for the citizens of Lincoln County. At our January 25th work session, under the heading of the Lifetime Wellness Update, our school health coordinator informed the board for their information only that the Lincoln County school system was considering adopting the Michigan model to replace the Real Essentials curriculum developed by the DCO, which is the Decisions, Choices, and Options, that is currently approved by the state of Tennessee. And henceforth, I'm going to call it the Tennessee model just for simplicity so that I can do comparisons. At this meeting, the school coordinator indicated that they were only going to use the good parts of the Michigan model, that they were going to eliminate the bad. The problem with that is that the models, the standards that are approved now by the Planned Parenthood are abstinence in name only. They've done away with the traditional abstinence, and now they're doing what they call their new abstinence. So not any of this plan is very good. When I heard this, it immediately raised a couple of red flags. The first one was the word Michigan. Why would we be considering putting a plan that's coming in from the state of Michigan to replace the plan that the Tennessee has approved by state law that we're using now? And the second red flag was when they said we're going to take out all the bad and just use the good parts. Well, everyone knows that even if you try to take out the bad, that when you buy this curriculum, which you have to purchase, they're going to send the whole package. So it's going to be left up to each individual teacher or whoever's teaching the class or the school system to decide what's good and what's bad. But it's still going to be in all the curriculum. And there were a lot of questions that weren't answered that night. Like, where is the additional funding coming from, and does it require additional funding to implement this program? Is it going to require additional staff training? Does it actually follow Tennessee state law and guidelines and standards? And does it even follow our own policies? And then what are the benefits? What are the benefits that this plan is going to provide for our children that the Tennessee plan is not providing already? Later that week, I was called by a constituent. And this constituent asked me, can you tell me what this Michigan model is? I had to admit to him that I had heard of the Michigan model, but as far as knowing what this Michigan model was really about, that I really didn't know a lot about it. And he said, well, tell me, how can you approve a curriculum that's going to influence our children for the next 12 years and you don't even know what's in this curriculum? And I said, you make a very good point. So I told him that over the next 2 months that I would do research and I would find out everything I could about this Michigan model, and that I would relay that information back to them. During this 2 months period, I was able to obtain a copy of the Michigan lesson plans, and reading also the Tennessee state laws and what their standards were for this. I have to admit, it was pretty eye-opening. So let's compare. Let's just do a comparison between the Michigan model and the Tennessee model. Now, there's two terms that are really important that you need to understand. One of them is risk reduction, and one is risk avoidance. Underage, if you do the underage smoking in the schools, both plans do risk avoidance, which means don't start. If you do underage vaping, they do risk avoidance. If you do underage drinking or drug use, they do risk avoidance, never start. But when you get to the sex education, the Michigan model does a complete 180-degree turn, whereas the Tennessee model still teaches risk avoidance. In other words, don't start. the Michigan model teaches risk reduction, which means that it's okay. We understand you're going to have sexual relations underage, but we're going to show you how to protect yourself. We're going to show you how to use condoms. We're going to show you how to use birth control. We're going to show you websites you can go to where you can order abortion pills online. We're going to provide information where you can contact Planned Parenthood and find out what your options are. We're going to tell you how to get the morning after pills. So instead of teaching abstinence, they teach what I call an abstinence in name only. And also the Michigan model does not even follow Tennessee state law. So if the Tennessee model checks all the boxes and the Michigan model doesn't, who forms the policies for this Michigan model? And where do their policies and standards come from? Well, one, part of their policy comes from Planned Parenthood. And Planned Parenthood, okay, so where do the policies and the standards that the Michigan model goes by comes from, since they don't follow the laws of the state of Tennessee? They come from places like Planned Parenthood, from the CDC, from the Trevor Project, which is an LGBTQ organization. Most standards have to be approved by Planned Parenthood, that it deals with sex education. And there's a big difference between standards and state law. They're not the same thing. So also, where does the funding come from? Well, the funding for the Michigan model comes from some of the most ultra-liberal organizations in the United States. The Gates Foundation, the Soros Foundation, the Zuckerberg Foundation, the Ford Foundation, which are all ultra-liberals. But another thing that bothered me about this Michigan plan was also, which I consider to be a major threat to the school systems, is who they're partnered with. Surprisingly, they are partnered with a collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning, which also happens to be based in Michigan. Now, so what is social emotional learning? Social emotional learning began approximately 20 years ago. It was introduced into our school system as anti-bullying, respect for others, and self-esteem, which are issues that any parent would want their child to have. But what they do is they put they make it a nice big package with a nice bow, but then they tend to disguise this. But what happened is in 2022, this CASAL, or this Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning that they're partnered with, decided to become a transformational SEL. Now, by transformational is a buzzword. It's a buzzword for what I consider Marxist ideology, like CRT, critical race theory, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, social justice, Common Core, anti-racism, white privilege, systemic racism, political activism, sexual orientation, and gender identity. I feel for our classroom teachers. Since all of these social emotional learning issues have been introduced into our school system, we're seeing a lot more mental health issues with our children. There has to be some relationship between the introduction of this SEL and the more mental health issues that children are experiencing today. Teachers are having to spend more of their classroom time dealing with these social emotional issues, and it's taken away from their academic time. Teachers were trained to teach academics. They weren't trained to be therapists. But now they're having to spend more of their time doing this. So, what I would say to you is that just remember that parents are the ultimate authority about what their children are taught in the school system. It's not the school board and it's not the school system. We're fortunate that in the state of Tennessee, parents do have a Parents' Bill of Rights. If it's TCA, Tennessee Code Annotated 49-6-1301 through 1308. What this allows parents to do is to view all curriculums, not just sex education curriculum, but all curriculums. They can view all lesson plans. They can view all the resource materials that's used in these classes, including any websites, any school library books that are used in classrooms. And if it doesn't meet your standards, you're allowed to pull your child out of this class without any repercussions. And they have to find an alternative class to teach them without any academic penalty. The only problem with this is that this is only going to affect probably 10% of the parents or less. You're still going to have over 90% of your children are still going to be involved in this in the curriculum that is present or that is presented. So the problem is we need to decide how do we fix the problem with our public school systems who have lost their way. So, what can parents do? Well, first off, you can check out these websites for yourself. Get your own information. You don't have to take my word for it. Check out the Sex Ed Industrial Complex. Check out the Michigan model and how it's related to CASEL. And check out CASEL, C-A-S-E-L. Check out Planned Parenthood. Check out the Trevor Project. Look online and find this information for yourself. You need to contact your board members and your school administration and tell them this is not what you want in your school system. Show up at our board meetings. Voice your opinions and your concerns. Let them know how you feel. They answer to you, not to someone in the Tennessee Department of Education who don't have your children's best interests at heart. It's only their own political agendas. Thank you.